All right. Shalom, shalom. Yahweh Shemashai Brakatah. Before I begin this lesson, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Ruach Kodash. I would like to say double honors to my teachers, the men whom I've learned this truth from, the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of great millstone. And I'd like to say shalom and salutations to the elect that's out there preaching his word in truth and sincerity. All right, I'm the brother Shaquat, and I'm one of the brothers from the branch of Great Millstone, Montreal. I'm back once again with another lesson, and this lesson that I'll be getting into today is going to be inspired based off a YouTube video I was actually watching last night, um, and the video, which I'm going to link the description of the video below, but I just want to pull it up to see the title. Salakia. Bear with me, Salakia. Let's see. So let me check my saved or watch later. It's most likely there. But yeah, just to here we go. By the handle of the channel is called the Zerky Show, and the video that he did is 21 minutes, and it's entitled "Nobody Knows How to Talk Anymore," right? And he was pretty much going into how it's hard um to pretty much have a solid and good conversation nowadays, right? Because everybody's avoidant, everybody's trying to, be to themselves and stay to themselves. And even if you do have a conversation, it's one sided, right? And it doesn't turn out to be a good conversation. Is either the person is boasting about themselves and they're not really, that flow of, of back and forth, a back and forth conversation that's is not there, right? And that's what he was pretty much going into, right? And that sparked the lesson for the the idea for this lesson, because it made me think about the people of Okinawa in Japan, right? And again, the people of Okinawa in Japan is a community of Japanese people, right? But that specific place, Okinawa, is known to, you know, have or people that live long, man. You know, it's but there's a reason to that because of their culture and how they live in that place in Okinawa, right? And that video that I watched last night, pretty much, I don't know if it was last night or early in the morning yesterday, but nonetheless, right? That video that I watched sparked this lesson and that idea that I tied it with the people of Okinawa and their lifestyle, because something that contributes to them living long is the fact that, or it's something called a Moai, right? And Moai is what? In Google, here's a short definition of it. It says Moai, social support, right? And social support, it says, from an early age, residents join lifelong circles of friends that provide financial and emotional support well into old age. So this Moai contributes to living longer, right? Contributes to these people of Okinawa living longer. That's a part of their culture, And Moai is what they're in they're in a group of friends, right? A group of people that they communicate with, right? Which is compared to like here, right? Compared to the cities and where everybody's pretty much avoiding. Yeah, you may have a few friends, whatever, right? But but even like those conversations, they're not the best, right? Right? You know, and this is really dealing with people in the world and the people in the world, right? But yeah, so a part of a part of your well-being, your health has to do with communication and good communications in a circle of friends that you know are good to you, right? A healthy bond between friendship, right? And that's also something that contributes to this truth being such a treasure, right? Because if you're in the truth or men of the Lord, if you're in a camp, you're blessed. You're blessed because you have brothers around you that operate under the same banner, and that's the fear of the Lord, right? And that level of that brings us a different level of trust that the world you can't find in the world, because the brother's not going to do something that you know he wouldn't want done to him to you, right? And that's what it is. That's the best thing you can have. That's a bond and a love for one another that can't be beat or found in the world. Yeah, you may have a sprinkle of that in the world, but then the trust is still not there. But that trust is there, amongst the brothers, right? So let me get a couple precepts in the book of Sirach 17 and verse 5, right? It says, "They received the use of the five operations of the Lord, and in the sixth place he imparted them understanding, and in the seventh speech and interpreter of the cogitations thereof." Right. So these five operations are going into some of the human functions and how some of the, the human functions that the Lord gave us. You know, a sense of smell, a sense of taste, to see, to hear, right, and to feel. Right, those are the five operations. But then it goes on. The Lord also imparted the sixth, which He imparted us understanding, which separates us away from the beast. Right, because beasts have those five operations as well. Animals, right? They could see, they could smell, they could touch, they could feel. You know, but some animals have don't have understanding. Animals, for the most part, don't have understanding and reasoning that we have, that humans have. Right? It says, and in the seventh, speech. Right? Certain animals don't speak in this kingdom. Right? An interpreter of the cogitations thereof. So let me go up the word cogitations real quick. But that's what we got. That's a part of our human makeup. Cogitations, meaning cogitation, Salakia. It says is the act of thinking deeply and carefully about a subject. So that's reasoning, right? But speech was something that was mentioned. We have the ability one of our operations and functions is speech. The fact that we can speak, there's a reason for that, right? So you're supposed to express, and we have emotions, man. You know, um, and those emotions are there for a reason too. They're there to be used. You know, yeah, happiness, joy. Feeling good, and speech, having a good conversation can make you feel good, right? Talking to somebody that yields a great conversation sometimes, right? And to be honest, the men of the Lord, talking to the men of the Lord, you have the best conversations, right? Why? Because their wisdom and understanding and perception on things is different, right? And that's why, for the most part, when you're talking to people in the world, man, they're gonna enjoy talking to you, right? They should enjoy talking to you, rather. Um, so let's go from there to the book of Sirach 30, and verse 21. It says, "Give not thy mind to heaviness, and afflict not thyself in thine own counsel." right? So you shouldn't give your mind to heaviness. You should, try your best to be out of that ditch of sorrow, that depressed mindset, or that negative mindset, because it's not good for you, right? It's not good. It's not good. It diminishes your function day to day. And a part of that is of being avoidant and not talking to people, man. Not communicating, right? Because you're pretty much going against yourself and not expressing certain things, right? You're going against your spirit, man. You're holding it in, right? Well, but that's again, you got to take that with a grain of salt, because there are times where you have to do that. There are times where you have to remain silent and hold particular things in, right? For example, the scriptures speak about being amongst elders, and a young man, right? You're not gonna try to usurp authority and want to give an opinion, because you're in the midst of people that know more than you, right? But the scriptures they guide us and teach us to wait until you're called upon to speak in the midst of others, right? So that's an example, just one, just to give clarity to what I'm trying to say. It says, verse 22, the gladness of the heart is the life of man. And that's why the people of Okinawa, the Moai, that's why that contributes to them living longer. Because talking to people and having a good conversation and having a good circle of people around you, that's healthy. That adds on to your life, for lack of better words, man. All right. It says the joyfulness of a man prolongeth his days, man. Right, and you get joy from a good conversation, man. I'm gonna keep saying it because it's true. It's true, right? But what does Esau Edom try to do? This society that he built up makes everybody isolated, everybody alone. That's for the most part, you just, as long as you have your phone and you could, tap into that little world, you can avoid people, you know. But that's where everybody's comfort is now, right? You see it in the buses, the trains, people walking outside the cities, man. Nobody's really like to talk to a stranger. That's a strange thing, all right? Verse 23: Love thine own soul and comfort thy heart. Remove sorrow far from thee, for sorrow hath killed many, and there is no profit to earn. There's no profit of being uh, in sorrow, right? And that's what being depressed is. You're isolated. You want to be alone. You want to avoid it, right? It says 24: Envy, wrath, shorten the life, right? Be careful, and carefulness bringeth age before the time. Carefulness meaning what? Um, you overthink things. Oh, well, I don't want to do that because just overthinking, being overly cautious instead of trusting in Yahweh Shemashah. All right, it says a cheerful and a good heart will have a care of his meat and diet. Right, so that's um pretty much the lesson. Right, going into how the people of Okinawa use a thing called Moai, which that's social. Uh, Let me see real quick. Which is social support, man. Social support, communication, and communicating with one another. You know, which that brings joy, and joy is good for the heart, for the mind. And, it contributes to you living longer. All right. So with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. And until next time, shalom.